following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's happening, Antman?
What's going on?
Not a whole lot. It's, life can be challenging sometimes, and I think we've both experienced a little bit of challenge this past week, haven't we?
Oh yeah, I'm a little hearing impaired for the show this evening.
Hearing impaired. That's got to be horrible, especially in what you do.
Muro, so the fact that I'm even sitting here with headphones on is like man. So anybody who experiences a seriously traumatizing ear issue, if you're in the music industry at all, boom, instantly, it's like having a limb cut off.
Yeah, you definitely rely on that sense. All your senses that you have. That's your main one, for sure.
Yeah. So I've been adapting. I am getting into the doctor to see it through and get it taken care of. But man, not for the faint at heart. And I earlier was gonna sit down and create the promo video for our guest and everything, and I got down to the headphones. Man, I couldn't do it. There's no way to edit the audio and put it together. So I failed miserably. So I apologize to the fans.
Yeah, the thing about our fans, thank you, RA Nation, for being here and be a part of everything. We love you, and we know we're forgiving. Things happen, life happens, and we all take that into consideration for sure.
Yeah. So you're moving?
Yeah.
I know I'm with it,
Yes, so we're going to be doing a replay next week, moving a few states away. So letting the cat out of the bag here tonight on air live for everybody to know. So
we're not getting into details, and we're not breaking down personal stuff. Just letting you know that the mighty Roxy is relocating to an upper echelon of a location. So she's going to be getting everything together for that, and so we're taking a break for that week. But we'll be back.
Yeah, doesn't stop us. Yeah, we're still going strong for sure. So RA Nation, we're family. We're going to keep at it. So.
Man, so tonight's guest, and when you reached out to me and was talking to me about Daisy, you were like, "Do you think this is a good fit?" And I was like, "Oh, abso-effing-lutely."
I am excited to bring in all the elements of music. Absolutely.
Yes, and and not just music. There's so many pieces that roll into Daisy and into what she does and who she is. So I'm excited to have her on the show and be able to chop it up. And I think she's got a lot of interesting information to be heard and be given and to be shared.
Absolutely. And if knowledge is one thing that she's going to have to offer to share with everybody in the community for sure. She's got such an amazing foundation going, and I can't wait for you guys to hear about it. It's definitely going to be a breath of fresh air for everyone because it's a growing community and we all live and learn together. And Daisy is going to be a fantastic guest and at letting everybody learn with us, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to bring on Daisy Joplin. Hi.
Wow, that was such a beautiful introduction. Just wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me. I just finished a rehearsal with my band, so I'm in this studio situation. But it's just an honor. I loved your intro. It's going to be great fun, and happy to be here.
Excited to have you for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're all sitting in our studios just chatting it up now. So tell us a little bit about how your studio went, your rehearsal went.
It's kind of interesting. So I have a band normally of 5 musicians, and 2 of them actually weren't here today because they're one's gone to Japan to see his family finally after not seeing his family for 3 years, and the other one is actually just gone to Israel, just about to go to Israel also to see his family. A lot of people haven't kind of managed to get across, the other parts of the world yet. So we kind of had to rearrange the songs. It was fun. It was one of those situations where we had to let go of what I did. I mean, they were brilliant. They're always brilliant, my band. But in my mind, I'm so used to hearing a certain way, some musician who always plays that part at that moment. I'm like, where is it? So it was good practice to kind of let go and open up to a new sound. And yeah, it's interesting being in different studios because the instruments sound so different and the balance is so different every time. So it's just great to kind of be in the moment and see it anew, see it with fresh ears, hear it with fresh ears. And yeah, they're amazing. The best band in the world.
It's interesting to think about that because not too many artists are comfortable enough with themselves or with what they do to sit back and really do that, like 100%. Like, all right, we need to change this, and no matter what it is, you make that change. And I think that like that in itself is a lesson some artists need to learn because so many are like, I've been in a band and I've been in the same band for 25 years and I want a new sound. It's kind of hard when you're set in your ways to re-grease the wheel, so to speak.
That's right.
Adapting. You got to learn to adapt.
That's right. Not that I was brilliant at it. I was noticing how I'm thinking, oh, what? I missed that. No, I don't want to miss it. But yeah, it's going to be wonderful.
Definitely always learning to do, huh?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you. You've been playing the violin since you were 3. Am I correct?
I love it. And I love the fact that I felt the things you said kind of were so, I mean, you've just, read about me a little bit, but I feel like you've really, really spot on. So yeah, it's like, because I've lived in 3 different countries and I tour a lot and I've even got this whole, I've got this whole love affair going on with, I heard about the pyramids and about playing there. So I've got a few concerts there. So I've been going out there. I've got a lot of, I somehow find myself in a lot of different places, but the one thing that's always with me is my violin. And just playing it every day is like a kind of grounding, coming back to that place of, peace and all that stuff. So
you actually have 2 instruments that you hold near and dear to your heart. And and there's artists that have 6 and 7 and 12. You have
20,
2.
Shall I show them to you? Shall I get them to you?
Yeah.
Could you please?
So while she's doing that, I wanted to let everybody know about the foundation that she does. You'll have to go check it out. The Daisy Joplin Foundation.org. She's back already. We'll talk more about that because we have to check this violin out.
Yeah.
So this is kind of amazing. Let me try and get it so you can see it. So this violin is from 1778. And it's kind of cool because, let me see if you can see this. Let me get it the right way around. It's probably this way. I don't know if we can get the light right. There are 2 letters underneath here, which are A and G. I don't know if you can really, let me see if I can do it this way. You might see better.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the guy's called Antonio Gragnani. He is from Livorno, northern Italy, and he made this absolutely beautiful violin, which it still blows my mind that it's made of wood, which obviously contracts and expands depending on the humidity. And I'm like flying all over the place, not only Cairo outside by the pyramids or like in Singapore. I mean, such completely different temperatures, even in, different places like hotels, they have different air conditioning or heat or whatever. And just the fact that it survived, all these years in all these different climates is amazing to me.
Craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Is all.
So, and to think that for 240, what is 1778? And we're now, so it's basically 246, 8. Anyway, a lot of years old. And for all those years, somebody's been pouring their soul into it. I mean, it's full of, I just play this violin and feel,
And that's exactly what you do. Pour your soul into it. And if you go check out Daisy's YouTube channel, you'll see it. You'll understand. It's just Daisy Joplin on YouTube, and she is incredible. And you see it. And I wanted to ask you, because it doesn't even look like you rehearse at all. You just let it flow. It just
I have to practice a lot. Yeah.
It's like it comes so natural to you.
Isn't it interesting that the way to make something really look natural is an incredible lot of work? But, it's a joy. I mean, it's a joy to practice. I find it's not always like this, but I find I pretty much have to practice first thing in the morning. I do a couple hours, and otherwise somehow there's a lot of stuff going on in the day and I don't necessarily get around to it. But yeah, that practice is a great way to start the day. Once I've done that, it's like I'm good,
Rejuvenating, right?
It is.
I want to bring up an interesting point. There a lot of people these days talk about classical music, and a lot of millennials particularly stick their nose up in the air and they're like, I don't want to. What is that? I don't like that.
Right.
And I always set them down and say, listen, like, you have to understand, you have to know where you've been to know where you're going. And all the things that we know as music today started back then with the same violin you have in your hand. And there's Lindsey Sterling, other violinists that I think of that have changed my mind about the direction of classical music and the types and ways that you can use it these days. And
all metal was created from classical music as well.
1000%. My trajectory, my journey really has been, I was trained completely classically. Like I actually grew up in a house kind of in the middle of the countryside. I mean, you couldn't even see another house from our house in England, northeast of London, by a kind of marsh looking out to the sea. So it was really beautiful countryside. My parents just felt like classical music is the right kind of music to really like educate a child's mind. I don't know. Who knows, right? But they felt that. So I didn't even listen to any other music. But there was a part of me that wanted to really create my own music. So even though I did that incredibly intense classical music training, when I left home, I was like starting to improvise, starting to play all these different styles. And this music foundation that you mentioned before, we do a lot of things. And one of the main things that we do is to actually teach all the students who come through our programs many different styles of music, because still to this day, a lot of students who either they start learning the violin, but there's only classical music for them to learn, or they think, I don't want to play the violin because, like you said, it's kind of boring and classical and from hundreds of years ago music, So we really teach them to be able to play whatever they want to play. Like once you have that technical basis that the classical music training can give you, let it rock. You can play whatever style you want. So,
awesome.
Yeah. And I do feel that there's tons of violinists out there now really being creative, musically. So it's a pretty exciting time to be a violinist, I think.
Uh-oh, lost Roxy there for a second. Well, bear with her. So, talk about the Music Foundation, at what point in your career did you know that you were going to do the foundation or wanted to? Because it's a big undertaking on top of being an artist and being somebody in the industry these days.
It's a crazy undertaking. It's so rewarding. So every time I'm thinking I'm mad doing it, I get so rewarded by seeing what happens to our students. I never really like planned it, but actually coming to New York City 15 years ago. So I came from Austria, Vienna, where every child does have the opportunity to learn a musical instrument. And then just as you were saying, Antman, when I came to New York, I was like, wow, so many schools are cutting their programs. And, I was like, why? This is, and I just kept having experiences. You know how the universe knocks on your door? Like, when you're supposed to be making a change in your life, there's like, things keep recurring. People kept telling me, my daughter was playing flute and now they've cut the program in the school, and now she's 14 years old. I don't know what she's going to do after school. I'm worried, what's going to happen to her. And finally I thought, what can I do about this? And in fact, leaving New York City and going to live in the small community of a town in northern Westchester called Peekskill, which is just 30,000 people. So you can kind of immediately really feel the community atmosphere and make a big difference in the community. So mums came up and said, could I start a strings program? Like, there were no strings programs in the schools. And I thought, let's do it, and it wasn't that easy actually to get everything happening. So the program was really off and running, because you don't want to learn the violin for a year. You want to know that you can start it. And if you like it, you can keep going for years, because that's really when you start getting good and start really seeing the benefits,
Right.
So now we've had the foundation for actually 11 years. I mean, we officially started in 2012, we've got a 501c3 status, but we started in 2011. We've got, kids having free music programs. We've mentored and we've mentored probably thousands of children through our programs, but we've also had a lot of professional musicians go and perform in schools, because it is that moment of being a kid and having a musician right up front, like, play in a way that you're like, that's incredible. You never thought you would love it, because they play, they're so fun, they're passionate, they're creative, they're cool. They're a rock star. I'm a rock star to all these kids. And
Yes.
they kind of, everybody as a kid and us as people, but sometimes we sometimes allow other things to get in our way. But as kids, all we know is we want to have fun in our life and we want to do something that we feel passionate about. And when you see somebody up there on stage, like, ripping it and having fun and, really, like, just, you can feel the energy in the room. I mean, I'll get standing ovations from teenagers, and I was amazed, because I'd never actually played to kids and I was very nervous, but I realized I have this inspiration. And so, when you take all the programs, we've had artists performing in schools, and we worked out, we've basically had, we've serviced over like 8,310 kids or something, like a lot of kids. And the whole community's changed. Now we have hundreds of kids playing string instruments in the schools, and we made a big change, and it's great to see that. And the school's getting better, like, it's really rising up within the kind of levels of the grades and everything. So music makes a difference.
It's really awesome when you're learning, like, so in a situation when I was in school, like when I was really little, music and stuff like that, it was hard to learn from my music teacher, because my music teacher was a career plumber, and he was there helping because he knew a little bit of music, and he was there helping the school. He played a little bit of piano, so whatever, I feel like in a situation like that, if there would have been somebody that was more geared into it, I would have been more engaged, and perhaps
100%.
who knows, and it's never, they train us to never think of the what ifs in the music industry or whatever, but you can't help but think back to those moments, and you're like, I wonder. And so it's really, really great to be able to hear you say that, because there are institutions and places out there that are quick to take what they can take and not give you anything, but make you feel like feel like it, but it's really awesome to see, that whole situation take place, and everybody on the website, not just photos, not just paid advertising. These people, you can't fake these smiles. You can't fake this happiness, and right down to the violinist in the way back on the website, big grin, happy, and it's just, it's really awesome to see.
Thank you, Antman. Yeah, I feel honestly like this is, well, on the one hand, I feel that everything that we experience is the truth. In other words, all the 8 billion human beings on this planet might be experiencing a different kind of experience in their life, and they're all true. But the way I see our future of our human race is that this self-expression that music gives us, like this connection with our soul, with maybe you can say outside time and space, that is what really brings like the joy into our lives. And I have this theory that if we all really had an avenue of self-expression every day, like something that was really fulfilling to us, whatever it is, we wouldn't actually get into the wars and all the situations that we find ourselves in, and seeing the difference in the kids who go through our programs is amazing. So
That is absolutely amazing. I have to share a little story about me in my endeavor into the music world. So I was young and I told my mom, I want to do something in music. So she's like, okay, here's a clarinet. It's cheap. You can do a clarinet.
Right.
I got it. I went to the shop and I was like, and I saw this big shiny brass king trumpet and I was like, I think I want to do that. And it took some talk into it, and she did it. Next thing I know, I was off tours to Europe. I placed first chair, and I achieved so much with that, and that was my start into the music world. And from there I went from genre to genre, and I did so much with music just from the start with Beethoven and Chopin, Tchaikovsky, and I loved it so much. And that right there is like a fundamental key into the world, is learning that and experiencing it and feeling it. And so your foundation truly means so much to me because I've experienced it myself. And I couldn't express anything better to say about it. And I'm so excited that you have this going on and that you're sharing this with the world.
Thank you. Yeah. I can imagine you being a trumpet player. I can totally imagine you being a trumpet player. Like, honestly, I don't know. There's something yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still play? I mean, it's quite difficult maybe to keep the embouchure and everything, right? Do you still?
It is. The wind ability has gotten rough as I get older. And I got into the jazz scene, and that was quite the quick tempo of it all was.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I don't do it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fundamental key of my life.
Yeah. And we're my foundation, I mean, it's kind of mad. I just mentioned to you before that I've got this like love with Cairo and with Egypt going on in the pyramids. It was just somebody on my team who's like, we should do a concert at the pyramids. And I went, oh, okay. So here I've been there for a few weeks on and off, and we're doing some concerts in June and September and, all kinds of stuff this year. But basically I've found an amazing arts program in Cairo, which serves children who really, they're completely emotionally traumatized when they come to the program, like they've been through hell, child marriage, terrible violence and sexual abuse and stuff. Anyway, and and this program transforms them. Like, I've met these kids like you would never know where they come from, and extreme poverty. So we're actually sponsoring this program, and these kids are going to be opening for this concert we're doing. We're planning on the 4th of November at the pyramids with me and my band, and the kids opening for us. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I always say music's therapy. It's an outlet.
Yeah.
It's there for more reasons than one.
That's right. And my band's amazing. We've got a show coming up wherever, I don't know where your listeners are, but basically we've got a show coming up on Friday night in Beacon, New York, which is just north of, where I live, at the Town Cry Cafe, 8 p.m., April 15th. So I think you've got a flyer, actually.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. My band are absolutely amazing, and it's incredible to me that they've stayed kind of with me. We stayed together throughout the whole pandemic. So
that's an amazing feat in itself.
Yeah.
I do have a little video clip I'd love to play for our viewers. So check this out. That's an
Man.
emotional tugger.
I'm Italian and Irish, so like when I hear stuff like that takes me back to like when I was a really young kid at my grandparents' house, growing up, like pasta sauce on the stove, like all kinds of stuff. All kinds of
Yeah. Melinda just posted that sounded amazing. Stay tuned because we're gonna play more for you. So it's the latest album you put out, Who's Who, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Who, the band, everybody knows the Who, and you did a lot of music featured around that. Would you like to speak about that and why you chose the Who to pick?
So, as I said, growing up in the middle of nowhere, no music apart from classical music. I had literally not heard of the Who. Back then there's no internet. I hadn't heard of the Who. So finally I end up in New York. I got a lot of work in New York, and then end up especially like in Westchester, north of New York City. The Who is, I think, maybe like the most beloved band, one of the most beloved bands around here. So everybody kept saying, you got to play this song, Baba O'Reilly, which has the violin solo in it. And I checked it out, and it was so fun to play this music. I actually never played rock. And then I started really getting deep into the music of the Who. I mean, the lyrics, of course, Pete Townsend, I mean, it's just genius. It's so genius. And I just decided to do a whole album, of this music. It was really, really meaningful to me. The story, I based a lot of the music on Tommy, because I feel like every day of my life, we're trying to like let go of these limitations that are in our mind. I mean, we kind of create the things we think we can't do, right? And it's so easy to say, oh, yes, we can, but to like really let go of those limitations, I feel like that's our life journey, to let go of all these perceived limitations. And that's what Tommy's about for me. He finally smashes the mirror of his perception of who he thinks he is, and then he's free, in some kind of way. I mean, there's always the next challenge, but that whole album and is so bloody amazing. So it's a lot of fun to play that music.
It's a completely different mindset to play the classical, stand still, enjoy the melody, the music of it all, and then to be able to cover a stage like you so gracefully do. I've seen some social media footage of your more classical performances. I've also seen you get down with it and have a great time and really bring everybody up. You want to talk about the differences between the two and the mindsets that you use to be able to project what you're trying to send to the crowd?
You know what? It's like, when you learn I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way of putting this, because actually me learning all these different styles of music has actually completely influenced the way I play classical music. So when I play Vivaldi, even though, yes, I've trained a billion hours, to play this stuff, I'm playing it like a rock musician. In other words, I am letting rip. So I don't feel as if I change mindset. I literally feel like one influences the other, and everything is I was going to say everything is a rock show, but the music makes the show. I don't ever feel like I'm doing something for the show. It's always the music. It's like that flow of energy that just makes you fly, whatever side I'm playing. So yeah, I can really one thing I noticed technically is that I need to really focus on like the laid backness of rock. So I need to kind of, because in classical music, there's not really that groove,
No.
So I have to focus back on the feeling of the groove when I get into like an Irish folk tune or rock. And moving from rock to classical, the technical thing is also like the bow, because in rock, it's like a much more kind of rough in a way. Whilst when you get to classical, it's like those nuances of even like when you go from one direction of bow to the other, because when you play classical music, you want that seamlessness, like, the way you feel transported when you hear like that song, The Swan, that you just heard. It's so you don't want to hear bumps in it, whilst in rock music you want to hear every
Right.
scratch, and it like makes you. So yeah, so the bow is a different technique.
Do you get any, how do I put this? Classical music, is very touchy, very got to be a hand position certain way, everything's got to be on point. Have you received any criticism for going the route that you've went, because it's not an easily traveled route?
No, I'm probably I have, but I don't know about it. Like, they haven't told me in my face or on my social media.
No, right. I just, because a lot of people like that plays into sometimes into situations like that. So
1,000%. Yeah, people are like, wow, she can actually really play Vivaldi. Like, she can really play that stuff. They're kind of amazed once they hear, we play the Who or something, and then they're like, wow. But yeah, so the practice is the classical music is what needs that practice. I mean, those classical solo violinists, they're practicing 4 hours every day, like every day.
We had a Melinda. She posted or just commented, just bought Ricky a violin for his birthday because he always wanted to learn. Now he's already a musician. What kind of tip would you give somebody who's already a musician but learning a violin? What kind of adaptations are needed?
Yeah, it does depend what instrument. If you're used to a wind instrument, if you're used to a string instrument, obviously there's some difference. It's trying to think. Like definitely somebody starting the violin, I always say just be very aware of how relaxed you are. That's the same though with every musician. But maybe if you are a musician, you're starting a new instrument, you might be tense in some place that you don't notice because it's a new thing for you. Like when you're really relaxed and you play the violin, you don't scratch. All those things that people talk about, the violin sounding like a strangled cat or whatever when you first start it. It doesn't have to. It's because we're in this unusual position, but when we're really relaxed and we play, sounds good from day one. So just, every day when I start practicing, I tune in and make sure that I'm relaxed throughout my whole my body and, really letting the energy flow.
What's a ritual for you, like before every show? Because every artist has a ritual. What's yours, if you don't mind me asking?
It is let go. Let go. I want to let go of everything and just let the energy and the music flow through me.
Yeah, so like clear your mind, right? Yeah. Okay. I get
that. I do have a feeling that we are connected with, I think of it as different things all the time. I actually had, my husband passed away a couple of years ago, but I still feel his spirit with me. So I feel like there's spirits of people who've passed away. Maybe there's angels, maybe there's our future self. I don't know, but there's before I perform, I always kind of go, let go. And some people might say, let go, let God. For me, it's let go and let the spirits take over, Yeah, just
That's amazing.
Let the message speak through us.
I always imagine that too when you're on stage and there's like this connection between you, your bandmates, the audience, and it's so magical. And
it's magical.
You don't intentionally mean it to happen, but it just kind of naturally flows out and it creates this magical moment with everybody and experiencing the same thing at the same time.
1,000%. Just you saying that reminds me. I mean, a couple of things. People often sometimes say, I feel healed. They feel healed after a show, which I think is just letting go. It's all about letting go, right? But it's interesting that you said about the being in the same place at the same time, because it was interesting when I first started going and playing in all the schools, because of course you can, go on any social media, any YouTube, whatever, and you can watch incredible violinists. But seeing somebody live right up close play the hell out of the violin, like really, there's nothing like it. And I've actually heard people talk, I don't know exactly how this works, but I've experienced it, that when I was a kid, my dad, I remember when I was 12 years old, I went to my first professional violin concert. It was an amazing. I was living in London. I was just outside London. We went to London. Nigel Kennedy. So Nigel Kennedy was kind of cool because he was playing basically classical. He did some jazz, but he always dressed up like a rock musician, which was very unusual, back then, as some years ago. And I just was sitting on. There was a free seat on the front row. We had tickets at the back, but they were like, "Hey, little girl, come and sit in the front." I was like 3 feet away from Nigel Kennedy. And I'll never forget it. And the next day I could play better. Like it's like you can absorb that kind of thing. We have that ability, right? We learn by feeling and watching and seeing, as well as actually practicing somehow. So there's nothing like live music,
100%. I can definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
All the boys say that playing their music is like therapy, for sure. Yes.
For kids, I mean, when we are in our programs, we'll hear kids who say, maybe their parent passed away or their parent's ill or something, and whenever they really feel down, they just go and they play their instrument. And
there was a time in my life, one of my best friends died when I was in high school, and I could not get myself to a point where I could like stare that down and and one of my friends who was just a musician at the time was like, hey, just let me strum something, maybe it'll help you. And I thought, I kind of laughed at him. I was like, yeah, whatever, sure. But man, like by the end of that, whatever it was he played, like I just broke down. I cried, cried like a man baby.
And that's the best way to heal, let that emotion out.
Yeah, and it was like, at that moment, nobody's judging me. The music's not even judging me. And I think that speaks volumes. Some people don't realize that music, it can feel like if it's turned the right way, it can feel like it's judging you and make you feel certain ways too.
Yeah. Probably it all comes from the message and the intent of the music. I mean, my music was high vibes. I mean, I think it's so important to, like you said, feel, but just like feel with no judgment, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's another interesting concept of all the music that's written, the writer may mean it in some different way, shape, or form, but as the listener, you're going to feel it and hear it how it is meant to be for you.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And that is the perfect way,
Yeah.
I have to say, talking about The Who, I mean, Pete Townsend, I love the fact that his lyrics are, for me anyway, feeling like they have a very strong message, but kind of ambiguous enough to let every person have their own understanding of what the lyrics mean to them. I love that. It's amazing.
When you look back at like some of the old interviews The Who did, that was exactly their point. Was like, listen, like this is like, it's not like there's no wrong way to take this. Not and even Pete Townsend was like, like this is open for everybody.
Right.
Not one album or one song they did was created for somebody to pigeonhole any thought to it. So like that's hard. That in itself, I think, is hard to do, because I look at all the music they put out and everything they put out over the course of the time, and even the stuff that never made it out, that leaked out. Like, man, you think about that for a second, and Daisy, like I can foresee like my kids jamming out to your music down the road. I'm excited about it, and I think the direction of classical music, I don't know, everybody's like, well, certain things are making it come back. Well, I think it's always been here. I don't think it's about coming back. It's just always been here.
Yeah, it's about keeping it here. We got to keep those classics, those original, amazing talents and feelings and all that's involved. We got to keep it, not bring it back.
I wonder if I never thought of this until now, because there's been there's always like cycles, right? And there's been such a cycle, but over the last 50 years, of in a way, not necessarily moving towards melody, but moving away from it, like the rhythm. And oh, look at these beautiful comments. Yeah, so moving like very much towards the rhythm and you know, the lyrics and you know, maybe we're moving back into melody a little bit more. I don't know. It's interesting for me. It's very interesting going around the world, because like the Middle East and, you know, the way people feel about my music actually in different places and what resonates with them in different places is so different in you know, countries around the world. But like Asia, I have a really strong fan base in Asia and the Middle East, Europe, and the US. I've got a fun time. I just got a new booking agent in the US, so I'm going to start touring in the US, which is awesome. Yeah, and we got a lot of new music. We're going to gradually release some new music throughout the rest of this year. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Jealous. Just hold me up and put me in your carry-on bag. I'll just everything. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So as the music goes, you know, on a journey, we experience music as a journey. You're experiencing this journey. You're going on some amazing, you know, adventures. And so is it hard for you to go from place to place and adapt? I know you talked about the weather and the humidity being involved with your violin. Is it, what's the most fascinating part for you? What is that? I want to know.
Wow. So, I mean, the first question of, is it hard? I actually find it quite hard. But what always saves me are the people. You know, it's like my fans, connecting, you know, with my band. Everywhere I go, connecting with musicians. It's the music, you know, the people. Everywhere in the world, the people are amazing, absolutely amazing. But yeah, you know, I just, you know, I go to Cairo and the weather's like unbelievable, and I come back and it's kind of cold and you know, whatever, blah blah. I mean, it's beautiful. The weather's gorgeous now here, but yeah, I do find it hard. But I choose to do it. Like, I mean, I'm so grateful to have the adventures I'm having, and I really, 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 you know, I choose it and I love it. And then, what is the most fascinating? I think the most fascinating thing about touring. I mean, you know, immediately I want to talk about the universal language, because when I first went to Cairo, I just started learning Arabic, but I didn't speak a word of Arabic. And yet I was connecting with people. I took my violin out and I played everywhere I went. I was playing in a taxi. I was playing like all over the place, because, you know, I really couldn't communicate with a lot of people, but through music,
there's connection.
I could yeah, I've made so many friends and fans through music, just pulling out my violin, you know, all over Cairo, in any place, whether it's in, you know, the kind of slum nearly. I've been to like really the poorest, but like pretty poor areas, or whether it's, you know, in the most gorgeous, luxurious places. And anyway, music is a
universal language.
Yeah,
Love it.
So that is incredible.
I do think that our musicians such as yourself, when you're pulling out your instruments, draw far more better attention than some dude on a guitar out of tune on a corner. Like if you were to pull your violin out and all you're doing is you're tuning and it sounds weird for a minute, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm gonna hit my brakes on my car. what was that? Like,
yep.
It is. And it's just, you know, I don't know, anybody who is a true fan of music, like, boom, it's gonna, what was that, you know? So I just I'm with you on that. Pull it out in the corner, wherever, like, and universally one language.
Yeah, I think it brings us also into the spontaneity of the moment, because we can be either going to work every day, or we can be stuck in traffic or something, you know, and then somebody gets out their violin and plays like something amazing. You're like, wow, it just brings you right into the magic of life, you know?
Yeah.
So that brings us to our next segment. We had a Facebook comment said, I would love to see her play. And we actually have a video for everybody to watch and feel. And I'd love for you, Daisy, to speak upon this video of A Radiance that was May 22nd of this year.
Coming up on May 22nd. So as I said, I live in, Northern Westchester, Peekskill, and there's a beautiful theatre there. Beautiful, incredibly painted. And anyway, it's amazing theatre called the Paramount Hudson Valley Theatre. And on 22nd of May at 3 p.m., we have a concert with a full orchestra. The orchestra, though, they call it a side-by-side. So it's 50% professional musicians and 50% students. So the students get to literally be like surrounded by the top professional musicians of New York City and the Hudson Valley. And it's an amazing experience for them. And we're playing a lot of fun music. So you're going to see, I think, are you playing like about a 4-minute video? There's a,
Yep.
Yeah, great. So you're going to tell, a lot of it's my music. You're going to have like a Vivaldi with a reggae beat, some fun arrangements we made. So maybe we'll take it away, but it's going to be great. My band, Orchestra 914, which is a wonderful orchestra, and students from the Westchester County Youth Association, Orchestra Association, and it's going to be amazing.
So this is absolutely amazing. So I want to hear your comments after you watch this video. So please stick around and give us your comments and let us all know how you feel. This is a Radiance.
Was definitely the best violin that I've heard ever, even better than Charlie Daniels, who I love to death.
And this was one of the best shows I've ever seen her perform at. But not only that, the energy was so good. Everybody seemed to be on top of their game.
This is my first concert and I loved it.
on.
behind everything. Beatbox, the Baba O'Reilly, everything, Beatles, everything.
So
Yeah.
those kids at the end, we give literally, so it's a 1,200 seat theater, and we give away 100 up to sometimes 200 tickets to kids to come and see the show. So those kids that said, so for them to like have an experience like that, it's life-changing. It's life-changing. They're right there and they got all these kids on stage playing in this incredible concert. It's amazing. And we also, I really want, of course, the classical music has kind of started to get this name of being a bit elitist, or orchestral music, so I've really, we give tickets to, so many different, members of the community, the vets. I know so many members, the seniors, all kinds of people. So it's like, in a way, it's an amazing experience because there's every sector of the community is represented in those concerts, which is not always the case,
Experiences make it totally worth it. So you can change somebody's life with just that one experience.
That's right.
Our commenters loved you. We've got some great comments. Lena says, just amazing. Kirk says, this woman is amazing.
Thank
and
you.
Tom Brady says, wow, amazing. So it sums it up. You're amazing. You and everybody involved.
Yeah, so we're gonna, we'll definitely start touring gradually through the US, and not just, of course I tour internationally, but so just keep an eye on my website on what's happening. I'd love to meet you, see you in some shows. Thank you. Just thanks for having me. It's been such a joy.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
not
Thank
only
you,
check
Stacey.
out her website, check out the foundation as well. She's doing such great deeds for these people that are entering the world of music, and that's, like I said, the fundamental key to music. So it's
and we have kids. Yes, we do. We have kids who maybe they're at music college and they actually get introduced to a professional who can help them once they leave. But we have tons of kids who are not going to be professional musicians, but it's just an amazing way to build up your confidence, to just I think develop our capabilities in so many ways, learning music and having the opportunity to perform. And
I think seeing, the way social media and filters and all this stuff like portrays the way you have to be and what you feel like. I feel like in a situation like with this, that you, Daisy, are in a unique position to be able to show people like my daughter who are going to be coming up in social media, like, you don't need this to be beautiful. This is, so you're empowering my daughter and other people's daughters and other boys and everybody, and the nice thing is that the way music works is you may not see the payback or the whatever for years to come. And then down the road, somebody's like, hey, because of Daisy Joplin, and it just starts all over again, So I love the cycle of music and I love the direction that you're headed. So thank you for doing what you do.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me. A couple of things, just what you said was so powerful, really powerful. Just to, your last point. So I'm a member of the Rotary Club. I never thought I'd be a member of a club. Anyway, it's just so funny, but here I am, a member of the Rotary Club. And I love it. And it's an amazing club. In Peekskill, we've got like 90 members and it's kind of amazing. So every year we give out scholarships. So we literally give out maybe 25 scholarships in there, sports, academics, all these different things, community service. The kids who are doing the best, 99.9% of them are playing music. And people keep saying, did you hear that person's got music? It's amazing. It's really amazing. These are kids who are getting, as I say, academic awards, or they're getting sports awards, or something totally different. But music's powerful. And then that whole thing, Antman, you mentioned that thing about social media and how we're supposed to be a certain way and look a certain way. Wow. So for me, I'm not doing anything, to my face to be like different than I am. I'm
Right.
like out there being me. And it's interesting because in a way, people are always talking about keep it real. And yet we have this crazy thing where people just look fake, totally fake. So it is interesting. And I definitely let's keep it real. We're beautiful as we are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
That we are beautiful as we are. I love
Yeah.
it. So can you let everybody know where we can find you at?
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to meet all the new people I've met here tonight on social media, on YouTube, Facebook, and daisyjoplin.com. Same website, daisyjoplinband.com. They lead to the same place. I've got some shows coming up this Friday in Beacon at the Town Crier Cafe, April 15th, 8 p.m. with my band. It's going to be a fantastic show. And May 22nd with the full orchestra in Peekskill, New York. With them going off to the pyramids and other stuff. But we'll be back on the 9th of July in New York City. If any of you are in New York City, at the table, Chelsea Table and Stage. Tickets haven't gone on sale yet. We just got the show today, but in the next couple of days, they'll go on sale. So 9th of July, 7 p.m. And we'll keep you posted. We're going to have tons more shows coming up, and we're going to release some new music. So just follow me. All the social media is Daisy Joplin. I do everything. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, the whole thing.
Love it. And is there one last thing you'd like to say to everybody before we part ways?
I think what we just said is we are beautiful as we are.
Yes.
We're beautiful as we are. We're just here to have fun, enjoy life, whatever tickles your fancy, do it. Don't wait to do it,
Yes.
Whatever you feel inspired to do it. It's going to always work out. Yeah.
Ain't that the truth, right?
Yeah. And I know you're going to heal. That's going to be no problem. I burst my eardrums and I went deaf completely in both ears. So I know that is the most frightening thing. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, like it was, yeah, it was, I woke up like this and it wasn't a happy moment either. So, it's been fun. I'll get back to it though. I'm excited.
You'll be fine.
But I encourage you, Daisy, to stick around in the green room after the show. Talk to you a little bit if you have a minute. If not, we totally.
Yeah, please, absolutely, I'd love to.
All right, you guys, everybody, thank you guys for tuning in tonight, man. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
And I want to give a shout out also to our sponsor, Standout Serpents, for coming and hanging out with us tonight, Mr. Kirk. I appreciate you, sir. And make sure you guys head over there, check out the brand new website for Standout Serpents. Am I not correct? Am I correct? There's a website.
Website's always been standoutserpents.com. We've updated a lot of stuff on the websites.
That's it.
Yep. Being more involved with the socials on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok's now actually Standout Serpents, not Roxy's Reptiles. So thank you, Standout Serpents, W4CY Radio, Talk 4 TV, and Music Familiar Productions for making this happen. We love all of you guys with RA Nation. Thank you for tuning in. All your comments are amazing. I love you guys so much.
See ya.
All right. Well, again, we're not going to be here next week, but stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Vacation
for you. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.